The summer of 2025 arrived with tension humming through the streets of San Francisco. The Golden State Warriors, a franchise synonymous with dominance for over a decade, found themselves in unfamiliar territory. Once feared as the inevitable champions, they now looked vulnerable, caught between honoring the past and preparing for a future that seemed impatient to arrive. The Western Conference was shifting like desert sand. The Denver Nuggets had bolstered their rotation, finding balance between Nikola Jokic's brilliance and the next wave of role players. The Houston Rockets, long mocked as a rebuilding team, had made bold strides, pairing youthful explosiveness with seasoned veterans to become a genuine threat. The Clippers, once thought to be a fading experiment, had quietly pieced together a roster designed to grind out playoff wins. And while their rivals made moves, Golden State hesitated. The silence was telling. The franchise, always bold in its prime, now seemed paralyzed by a single storyline: Jonathan Kuminga. Kuminga had been drafted as the future, raw talent molded by the Warriors' legendary core. His potential was undeniable, a slashing forward with size, athleticism, and a spark of star power. Yet potential had grown into frustration. His minutes under Steve Kerr never seemed consistent, his role never fully defined. And now, in restricted free agency, he stood at a crossroads. Would he take the Warriors' qualifying offer, a one-year, prove-it deal worth millions, or hold out for a long-term commitment? Every phone call, every conversation, every rumor in the Bay Area seemed to circle back to him. Until the Kuminga decision was resolved, the Warriors' front office couldn't act. And as time ticked toward training camp, Golden State was forced into a waiting game they had never been comfortable playing. Jonathan Kuminga was 22, but his presence carried the weight of a dynasty's future. Negotiations had dragged for months. Reports leaked that Golden State had floated a 2-year, $45 million contract, enough to lock him in while preserving flexibility. But Kuminga and his camp weren't satisfied. For him, it wasn't about numbers, it was about trust, opportunity, and identity. The Warriors knew this well. Day after day, media speculation painted the picture: the team's championship core versus the player who wanted more than the bench role he had often been relegated to. Kerr had never promised him starting minutes, and everyone knew rotations were earned, not gifted. But Kuminga wanted proof that the franchise saw him as more than trade bait. Meanwhile, whispers of sign-and-trade scenarios emerged. Could the Warriors package him for another veteran? Could they pivot toward players who would better complement Curry and Butler? Nothing materialized. The offers weren't enough. And so, the stalemate deepened. Fans grew restless. On sports radio, callers debated endlessly. Was Kuminga being selfish, or was the front office refusing to evolve? On social media, every leaked report sparked firestorms. Let him walk. Trade him now. Play him and watch him shine. The discourse was constant, unrelenting, emotional. By mid-September, the picture was clearer. Unless something dramatic shifted, Kuminga would accept the qualifying offer. It meant one more year in Golden State, but also one more year of tension, one more year of questions about whether he truly belonged in the Bay. While the Kuminga saga dragged, other pieces quietly moved into place. Free agents circled the Warriors, waiting for the right call. Al Horford, now deep into the twilight of his career, offered veteran leadership, championship experience, and a steady locker room presence. D'Anthony Melton and Gary Payton too represented defensive toughness, exactly the kind of role players Golden State had always thrived on. But the more intriguing names were Jeremiah Robinson-Earl and Dalano Banton. Both 4-year veterans, both journeymen fighting for survival in a league that often discards talent too quickly. They worked out at Chase Center, sweating through drills, scrimmaging in half-empty gyms, hoping to earn Exhibit 10 contracts that could springboard them into a roster spot. For them, the Warriors represented opportunity, not just a chance at playing time, but at relevance. Golden State's system had made careers before. To wear that jersey, even in preseason, meant visibility, credibility, and perhaps a second chance. Inside the locker room, the vibe was complicated. Veterans welcomed the competition, but everyone felt the uncertainty. The roster wasn't complete. Decisions weren't finalized. Every drill carried unspoken tension. And in the background, Steve Kerr remained calm, his voice steady, reminding everyone that training camp was about foundation, about rediscovering the habits that had built a dynasty. If the roster was unsettled, the soul of the Warriors remained intact. Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler, three names that defined different eras of basketball, now aligned in the same jersey. Curry was the constant. At 37, he still moved with the grace of a player untouched by time. His jumper remained the most feared weapon in the sport, and his leadership had evolved into quiet steadiness. No longer just a magician on the court, he was the voice of patience in the locker room, the one who reminded teammates that chaos was temporary. Draymond Green remained the heartbeat, the enforcer, the mind that saw plays before they unfolded. His fire hadn't dimmed, though age had forced him to conserve it wisely. He spoke less but with more precision. When he did, the room listened. His bond with Curry was unbreakable, forged through battles that had redefined basketball. Jimmy Butler was the new piece, but he wasn't new to pressure. After a full off-season with Golden State, he was ready to integrate fully. His voice added edge, his workouts set tone, and his belief in toughness mirrored the Warriors' identity. For a franchise often criticized for finesse, Butler brought grit. His presence in practice forced everyone to compete harder. Together, the three represented a blend of past, present, and future. They weren't the Splash Brothers of old. They weren't the small ball revolution anymore. But they were still dangerous, still capable, still unwilling to fade quietly. As camp approached, the outside noise grew louder. The media painted the Warriors as a team stuck between eras, too experienced to rebuild, too unsettled to dominate. Analysts debated whether they were contenders or pretenders. Some claimed the dynasty was already over. Others argued that as long as Curry laced his sneakers, Golden State could never be dismissed. Inside the Bay, fans wrestled with mixed emotions. Chase Center filled with banners of past glory, but the present demanded new memories. Social feeds flooded with highlight reels of Curry's past brilliance, reminders of what he had done, and whispers of what he still could do. The spotlight wasn't just on stars, though. Moses Moody, Brandon Podziemski, Buddy Hield, Quinton Post, these names mattered too. They were the connective tissue, the role players who would determine whether Golden State could withstand an 82-game grind. And through it all, Kuminga's shadow loomed. Would he embrace the role he was given? Would he force his way into a starting spot? Or would the friction between him and Kerr define yet another season of frustration? The uncertainty was storyline enough to keep the league watching. As the calendar flipped toward October, the Warriors faced the truth. This season wasn't just another campaign. It was a referendum. A referendum on their ability to adapt, on their willingness to trust youth, and on the durability of a dynasty that had already rewritten history. If Kuminga played with purpose, the Warriors might rediscover balance. If Butler meshed perfectly, Golden State could strike fear again. If Curry stayed healthy, they could still make one more run. But if the pieces didn't fit? If the tension became too heavy? Then the dynasty's final chapter might be written not in parades, but in quiet exits, in what-ifs, in memories of what once was. Still, one truth resonated through Chase Center: the Warriors were not finished yet. The league could change. Rivals could rise. Critics could talk. But until the final buzzer sounded, Golden State's legacy was theirs to defend. And as training camp doors opened, the story began: another season, another chance, another fight to prove that greatness doesn't fade, it adapts. Ladies and gentlemen, basketball fans across the globe, welcome to one of the wildest stories in recent NBA history. Today we are diving deep into the breaking news that has sent shockwaves through the league. Giannis Antetokounmpo and Josh Giddey are reportedly heading to the Golden State Warriors in a blockbuster trade that could completely reshape the balance of power in the NBA. This is not just another off-season rumor. This is the kind of news that makes analysts, fans, and even rival players stop what they're doing and wonder, what does this mean for the future of the league? In the next 2 hours, we're going to break this story down from every possible angle: who wins, who loses, and what it all means for the Warriors, for Giannis, for Giddey, and for the NBA as a whole. Chapter 1: Giannis Antetokounmpo's Journey, approximate 15 minutes. Giannis Antetokounmpo, also known as the Greek Freak, is not just a basketball player, he is a global icon. Born in Athens, Greece, to Nigerian parents, his story is one of perseverance, resilience, and transformation. From selling goods on the streets of Athens as a young boy, to becoming a 2-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and NBA champion, Giannis embodies the dream that hard work and dedication can truly pay off. But even greatness has its limits. Over the past couple of seasons, despite his dominance on the floor, the Milwaukee Bucks have struggled to stay on top. Injuries, coaching changes, and stiff competition have made Giannis question whether Milwaukee can continue to build a championship-caliber roster around him. That little seed of doubt has grown, and it may have opened the door for one of the most shocking trades in recent memory. Chapter 2: Josh Giddey's Rise, approximate 10 minutes. Now let's talk about Josh Giddey, the young Australian playmaker who has quickly become one of the most intriguing guards in the league. Drafted by the Oklahoma City Thunder, Giddey has shown flashes of brilliance, elite passing, incredible court vision, and a natural feel for the game that can't be taught. He may not yet be a superstar, but at only 21 years old, he's got the potential to become a cornerstone for any franchise. For the Warriors, a team known for ball movement, spacing, and high IQ basketball, Giddey's skill set is a perfect match. Pairing him with a veteran squad and surrounding him with championship experience could accelerate his development in ways OKC simply couldn't provide right now. Chapter 3: The Warriors Situation, approximate 15 minutes. The Golden State Warriors have already cemented their place in NBA history. With 4 championships in the Steph Curry era, they've built a dynasty built on skill, chemistry, and a revolutionary style of basketball. But time is catching up with them. Steph is in his mid-30s, Klay Thompson has battled through injuries, and Draymond Green, while still impactful, is not the same player he was in 2015. Management has been caught between 2 timelines: continue competing for championships with their aging stars, or develop young talent like Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody. Trading for Giannis and Giddey is the boldest possible answer to that question. It signals that Golden State is going all in, combining present dominance with future potential. When the news first hit, social media went absolutely crazy. Warriors fans celebrated like they'd just won another ring, while fans of rival teams voiced frustration, anger, and disbelief. Analysts immediately began comparing this potential roster to some of the greatest teams ever assembled. Imagine it: Steph Curry, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Josh Giddey, and Draymond Green on the same floor. Add in role players like Andrew Wiggins or Kevin Looney, and suddenly the Warriors are not just contenders, they're overwhelming favorites. Some commentators, however, warned against getting too excited too fast. Trades of this magnitude take time to finalize, and there are always risks. Will the chemistry work? Can Giannis adapt to the Warriors' free-flowing style? Will Giddey thrive under the pressure of playing with legends? These are the questions everyone is asking, and we'll be unpacking them in detail. Welcome back, basketball fans. Today, we dive into a fascinating story that has been brewing quietly but now stands front and center in the Golden State Warriors' future plans. The focus? Jonathan Kuminga, the young athletic forward who has shown flashes of brilliance but still hasn't signed a new contract with the Warriors. Why the hesitation? What's holding both sides back? And more importantly, what does this mean for the team as they head into the new season? Over the next 2 hours, we're going to unpack everything. From Kuminga's journey so far, to the financial and basketball factors in play, and finally to what leading NBA pundits are saying about the Warriors' chances in the upcoming season. Jonathan Kuminga is not just another young player. Drafted by the Warriors in 2021 with the 7th overall pick, he came into the league with the reputation of being one of the most athletic forwards in his draft class. Standing at 6 feet 7 inches with elite strength and explosiveness, Kuminga has the physical tools to be a two-way force in the NBA. But playing for the Warriors hasn't been easy for him. Unlike other lottery picks who immediately get the keys to their team, Kuminga had to fit into a championship roster built around Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. That meant limited minutes, inconsistent roles, and the constant pressure of competing for titles instead of developing slowly. So why haven't the Warriors given Kuminga a new deal yet? There are several reasons. 1. Uncertainty about his ceiling. Uncertainty about his ceiling. While Kuminga has shown flashes of being an elite scorer and defender, he hasn't consistently put it together. The Warriors want to see if he can sustain high-level play across a full season. 2. Financial constraints. Golden State already has one of the most expensive payrolls in NBA history. With Steph, Klay, and Draymond still under big contracts, and Andrew Wiggins locked in as well, adding a major extension for Kuminga could push them deeper into luxury tax territory. 3. Timeline conflicts. The Warriors are still built around veterans chasing championships now, while Kuminga represents the future. Management has to decide, do they commit to him long-term, or keep their flexibility in case a trade opportunity arises? 4. Market leverage. By waiting, the Warriors can see how Kuminga performs this season before deciding whether he deserves a star-level contract, a role-player deal, or something in between. From Kuminga's side, the hesitation also makes sense. He wants a bigger role and more responsibility, not just to be an energy player off the bench. Last season, he openly expressed frustration at not playing heavy minutes, especially in big games. If the Warriors aren't willing to guarantee him a central role in the future, he may be reluctant to sign a long-term extension. Players at his age and talent level often want to bet on themselves. If Kuminga has a breakout season, his value could skyrocket, giving him leverage to demand a much bigger deal than what the Warriors might be willing to offer right now. The NBA media world has been buzzing about this situation. Let's look at what the pundits are saying. Optimists argue that Kuminga is the Warriors' bridge to the future. They believe the Warriors can't afford to lose him, because once Steph retires, they'll need a young star to carry the torch. Extending Kuminga now, even if it's a gamble, could secure their long-term relevance. Skeptics point out that Kuminga has yet to prove he can handle the responsibility of being a franchise cornerstone. His shooting is streaky, his decision-making is still developing, and defensively he can drift at times. Some analysts say the Warriors may be smarter to keep him as a trade chip rather than commit big money. Financial experts remind us that the new CBA, collective bargaining agreement, makes it extremely difficult for teams with massive payrolls to keep adding big contracts. If the Warriors max out Kuminga, they may have to sacrifice depth elsewhere. Former players turned pundits like to stress the mental side. Kuminga needs confidence, trust, and opportunity. They argue that if the Warriors don't fully invest in him soon, he may never reach his true potential in Golden State.